Hi, this is Anudeep Sharma, and you are listening to the Northeast Web Shots. Today is a very special day, especially for people who love being to lush green mountains, who love being around plants and animals, who love watching colorful butterflies, colorful flowers, colorful birds, who love being in the nature. Today is the International Day for Biodiversity. The father of nation, Mahatma Gandhi, has once said, Earth provides enough to satisfy every man's needs, but not every man's greed. And oh yes, we have been seeing this all around, isn't it? The earth has been providing us with ample amount of food, water, air, shelter to live, to sustain our lives. But we still exploit the environment, the earthly resources for our greed. But today we are talking about something different. Today we are talking about biodiversity, which we are directly the part of, which directly concerns our existence. Each species on earth has its value and contributes to the biological diversity, which is essential for us humans. And if this biological diversity sustained damage due to our reckless behaviors, then the humanity would be deprived of many natural and other resources. In the past few decades, there have been a widespread exploitation of resources without due consideration to its maintenance, which resulted in damage to the environment. Now, lately, there have been widespread concerns to preserve and conserve the ecosystem, protect the biodiversity, wake up for the climate change. But we have done enough damage. And if we do not start right away, we will lose a large sector. The 8 million species of animals and plants on earth today are the result of billions of years of evolution. Now the United Nations say that 1 million of them are already heading for extinction, and that we are losing species at a rate faster than any other time in the human history. Now talking about our country India, in India it's a basic right to live a healthy life in the ambit of Article 21. But the very acute poverty in the country requires acceleration in the development process, which can only be done at the cost of environmental exploitation, thus endangering not only present generation but also future generation. Dear listeners, we must understand that when species disappear, they take with them not only the important pieces of natural history, but also significant pieces of planet's biodiversity puzzle that makes sense only when it's unified. Scientists have repeatedly warned us about habitat destruction, chemical pollution, and climate change being the drivers for biodiversity loss. There are also other concerning factors like overutilization factor, overpopulation, overgrazing, overfishing, and many more. I'm not saying this to threaten you, but actually scientists have said that the destruction of the habitats is leading to increased contact between humans, wildlife, and livestock. As peoples are now moving into the forest areas, there is more chances of being in contact with deadliest of things. An estimated 850,000 viruses exist in the variety of animals, and many of them could make the jump to humans in coming years and decades. A dreadful prospect that needs no explanation at this time of pandemic when COVID-19 coronavirus is wrecking the entire world. The United Nations General Assembly in the late 1993 proclaimed May 22 as the International Day for Biological Diversity to increase understanding and awareness of biodiversity issues. The main agenda for this was educating peoples about biodiversity and conservation of biodiversity. We must understand that despite technological advances by humans, we are completely dependent on healthy and vibrant ecosystems of our water, food, medicines, clothes, fuel, shelter, energy, among others. This year, the Biodiversity Day 2021 slogan is "We are the part of solution." So, my dear listeners, what are the part of the solutions? From nature-based solutions to climate, health issues, food and water security, and sustainable livelihoods, biodiversity is the foundation upon which we can build back better. So how do we conserve our biodiversity? First of all, we must understand that biodiversity cannot be generalized in any forms. Biodiversity requires a area-based focus and area-based steps for consumption and conservation. Here are some steps that further can be generalized to make the process of conservation of biodiversity more useful and more effective. First of all, we must support local farms. Regularly buying from small local farmers at stands or markets helps us to keep the rupees or the dollars in the local economy and supports agricultural efforts to conserve biodiversity. Community supported agriculture is another great way to eat in season fresh local food while also financially supporting local farmers who are striving to conserve the age-old flora and fauna biodiversity. The other thing we can do is save the bees. Bees are the important species to preserve biodiversity, and they are increasingly under attack. We can help save them by planting nectar producing wildflowers in our backyard, or even building bee boxes for local bees to call home. We can keep this as a project in our schools and educate children about the importance of bees in keeping up the biodiversity, especially for plant species. The other step we can follow is plant local flowers, fruits and vegetables. We must research the flora of fruits and vegetables native to our area and plant a variety in our backyard or hanging garden. To aid in this effort, we should support local nurseries that specialize in native species. Nurseries can be a great source of information about plant maintenance and care. They should also be able to tell you where they source their plants from. The more local, the better. By supporting local wildlife, we are actually helping to preserve the biodiversity of our area and supporting its local ecosystem. The other important factor that needs to be taken into consideration is taking shorter showers. Biodiversity highly depends on the abundance of local fresh water. Taking 5-minute showers and turning the water off while washing your hands, doing the dishes, brushing your teeth are all easy ways to conserve water and thus conserve biodiversity. The other thing we must do is respect local habitats. Plants growing in the parks and nature preserves near us often play an important role in preserving the local ecosystem. When we are outside, protect local biodiversity by sticking to the walk path or hiking trail. Help your children and pets do the same. And as a techno-savvy generation, the generation of online, we must know the source. We must check the products before we buy. and the companies you support to ensure that buying habits are not contributing to destruction of habitat elsewhere. It may happen that the things we are buying may be hampering the biodiversity, the environment of the place the production is happening. So we must be vigilant enough and not just only focus on local biodiversity, but also be a part of saving the entire world from getting extinct. This International Biodiversity Day, let's conserve ourselves, let's conserve our life, let's sustain our family, the big biodiverse family that we have around us. This pandemic has taught us that the biggest friend is nature. A friend in need is friend indeed, and nature is always indeed a friend for us, which has always been inspiring and giving things that we need to sustain. So, this International Biodiversity Day, let's strive to protect the biodiversity of our locality and be the person to make a change. Thank you. You are listening to Northeast Web Shots, and this was Anudeep Sharma. Bye bye.